Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Alan.
And you're officially tuned in to the GG Dispatch. Each week on Tuesday, bright and early, we consolidate the week's biggest headlines in gaming news. Whether you're listening in on your commute, during your workout, or you just have us on in the background, we want to thank you for listening in. Speaking of thanks, another thank you to the kind folks at Audio Technica for providing the microphones that both Alan and I are using, the AT2020 USB-X. Whether you're just starting out on your content creator journey or you're a seasoned pro, Audio Technica has the products for you. Wanted to start out by saying thank you to all of our patient and devoted listeners for kind of wading through the waters. Last week we weren't able to post an episode, got kind of tied up with the craziness of the 9 to 5, and so we weren't able to get that episode out. But thank you for coming back, and we look forward to catching up with you and getting this news out this week. So starting with something that I was up to this last weekend, which was WonderCon 2024. Alan, have you ever been out to WonderCon or Comic-Con? I don't remember if we had this conversation before. Have you been out to either of those shows before?
No, I've never had the chance to go to either of those conventions.
Okay. Are there cons near you that you've been to?
Yeah, MegaCon. That was like a pretty long time ago. Like when I was a kid, I went.
Okay.
Because at the time I think like the voice actors for Dragon Ball Z were going to be there.
We
were just like, oh my god, that's insane, we want to meet them. So
right,
that was the only time I've been to a convention.
Okay. Well, we'll have to find a good one for you to attend soon, because I think conventions are great. I love attending conventions. I get a lot of energy out of those, and of course plenty of opportunity to do shopping and find some cool stuff. I spent the weekend with Lance from Comic Book Keepers and Brad from Comic Book Couples Counseling. We kind of bunked up together, and we spent a lot of the weekend kind of cheering on and encouraging our good friend Eamon Winkle, who is an artist and is launching the interior art for his first ongoing series called The Principles of Necromancy, written by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, who did the One Bad Day Clayface issue, and are writing, I think, some Star Trek as well, and a lot of other really cool properties. But yeah, just had a great time. Found some cool comics. I got an awesome commission done of Mega Man while I was out there, and overall just had a grand old time. And so now looking forward to San Diego Comic-Con in just a few short months. And yeah, so that was my time up in Anaheim. One of the reasons why I really like that show as well is that the hotel is so close to the convention center. Like, I can get from my hotel room to the convention center floor in 4 minutes. So it's not
nice.
I know it's not like San Diego Comic-Con. If you happen to luck out with a downtown room, it can still, it can take you some time to go out, get to the lobby, go to the room, come back down, go out, like it can there's a bit of walking, a bit more travel involved, so you're usually looking at like a 10-minute minimum one way. So it was nice, really nice. So
I'm guessing like you probably did end up getting like merch or other stuff like that. Like, what was the favorite thing that you got while you were there?
I think my favorite thing was probably that the custom commission that I got from Ryan Barry. He goes by 9 Monkeys on Instagram and Twitter as well. And he has this really amazing art style that kind of blends like technical, mechanical with organic. So a lot of, kind of like Ghost in the Shell type pieces. He has a really great, in one of his sketchbooks, he had a really great like splash page from Outlaw Star, and also some iterations of like X, Chill Penguin, like characters from Mega Man that of course speaks right to my nerdy heart. So yeah, I got a commission piece, and he turned it around in about a day and a half, and it's amazing. I love it. And then I think after that, trying to think, I got some shirts. I got some cool shirts. I got this cool like Oni mask Frieza shirt. So it was kind of a unique design, and so I was like, oh, I should pick that up. Um, trying to think if I got anything gaming related. Uh, my sister got me a Mega Man pin, so that was cool. But yeah, I mean, mostly it was just kind of looking around. Oh, I picked up some more Mega Man and Sonic comic books as well because I used to have a much more extensive comic book collection. When we bought our house last year, I pared it down significantly. Like I used to have like a full run of Silver Surfer and the full run of Doctor Strange and a whole bunch of like, all these different runs of comics and high value comics and stuff. And I sold all of it except for my run of Mega Man. Um, and some other select like individual issues. And so over the weekend, I found a few more Mega Man issues, like variant covers, and then some Sonic issues from when they did like the crossover events. So I found a few of those as well. So yeah, that was what I was up to over the weekend. What's new with you, Alan? I hope only good news and nothing bad.
Oh, it's only bad news, Jeremy. My
Okay.
PlayStation 5 is no longer with us.
Uh,
RIP. I know that I've mentioned before that I was kind of hyped for the PS5 Pro because my current PS5 was like making buzzing sounds. And I mean, for the most part, that's like, it's kind of normal, coil whine, no big deal. But I was still able to play games. There weren't any like sort of oddities, like, no graphical glitches or anything like that. And everything was fine until I tried to play a little bit of more Rebirth this weekend. And it's done for. It's gonzo. Like there's just no life to it. I tried beeping, the power button. Uh, on the Sony website, there's like a bunch of troubleshooting tips as well as online, from YouTube videos and stuff. And like, it's not even beeping to like be able to troubleshoot it. So, it's gone. So at this point, I'm basically gonna just start saving towards the PS5 Pro because, from the little bit of checking that I did and kind of asking around of how much it would cost to fix it, it ended up being like 200, 250. So it's like at that point, why bother with the PS5 Pro? Kind of, a couple of months out, but still close enough where like I don't think it makes sense to buy the PS5 because it could be that, even if the PS5 Pro isn't as impressive, then hopefully the PS5 will also get a price cut, so save a little bit of money that way. So yeah, so now I'm just kind of waiting for a PS5 Pro because like I only got a couple of chapters into Rebirth, so and now I
mhm.
can't play that anymore.
Yeah, that sucks, man. I mean, I think there should be more like robust manufacturer warranties as well. I think this is kind of like a broader conversation, but I think you know most of the time they're happy to like try and sell you on like a 3 year or a 5 year plan like at the store. But honestly, a 5 year plan should be standard. Like Sony should just provide like a 5 year manufacturer warranty because it's it's more, I mean, it's slightly less, but it's close to the length of a console generation, right? Like if you think a console generation is like about 8 years, um, like 7 to 8 years, 5 years is a healthy amount of time, right? And so I think, having something like that more standardized would be better for the consumer because, you know, now, even though you've had your PS5 for a decent amount of time, you're now kind of up a creek, which is I don't think that's fair. So
No, well, I mean, if we lived in the magical land of Europe, I still be covered under warranty because over there it's I think 3 years is standard.
uh-huh.
So if we were
Yeah.
recording this at the Eiffel Tower right now, I'd be covered and not sweat.
Dang. All right. Well, let's get on a plane. Let's get that sorted out. um, man, that sucks. But anyways, enough about that. We can all root for Alan as he saves up for his PS5 Pro and enjoys the enhanced performance of that device, and also hope that we can get better manufacturer warranties. In the meantime, we will catch up on the week's news. So today we've got five stories and a deal section. Starting with GTA 6 might slip into 2026. This is from Kotaku's Zach Zweisen, or Zwiesen. Um, and it goes something like this. Grand Theft Auto 6 is likely one of the most anticipated games in history, with millions of players around the world. Uh, waiting for any scrap of info or screenshot of the upcoming open world crime simulator. However, as remote workers struggle with an unwanted return to office mandate from Rockstar Games, Kotaku has learned from sources with knowledge of the game's development that GTA 6 could miss its 2025 release window and slip into 2026. And then there was an update a few days ago that said Kotaku has now heard from more sources that while early 2025 was at one point possible, it's no longer the target. So early 2025 was the initial target. That slipped. But now we're wondering if it'll be mid 2025, late 2025, or potentially 2026. The article goes on. As for why some believe this was the case, it seems this information was out of date and a symptom of Rockstar Games tightening security and communication within the company. I'm told not everyone is always on the same page or kept up to date across the various departments and teams. It's hard to nail down the details since leaks. However, the majority of sources were certain that early 2025 is no longer possible. Instead, the target is firmly fall 2025. And while most seem confident of hitting that date, I'm told there is the possibility of a delay, as previously reported. And so that was basically all the update that was given a number of days ago. But then the article goes on to say, like, why GTA 6 might be getting pushed out, and a central part of that argument is essentially the resistance to returning to office from Rockstar Games, and just general general slowing velocity on the development of the game. So, Alan, what do you think about this news? Like, are you, do you think we can wait another 18 months for GTA 6? Do you think we could wait for potentially the new gen for this title, or do you think that this is still, you still feel pretty good that it's going to land in 2025?
I mean, I really hope we don't have to wait till like the PlayStation 6 to get this thing. I really hope not. But I am in favor of just letting them cook. I mean, you know, as the article mentioned, it's like early 2025 was kind of like what they were hoping for. Fall being more likely, which I think makes more sense. You kind of tend to get the bigger releases in the fall. But even the
Right.
2026 would not surprise me, and I wouldn't be too like bothered by it. But having to wait till like PS6 would really suck. But I don't think it'll get out that far. But I think it is sort of uh, uh, just kind of sucks that they're kind of trying to push this whole return to office thing when so many of the devs were kind of like already working from home and doing just fine. And what does worry me is that like a lot of devs are basically saying like, I got hired to work remote, in the middle of the pandemic, and now all of a sudden I'm getting pushed to, return to office, and they probably live, a completely different city or something like that. So I think that where they might run into problems is like devs who kind of feel alienated by these moves and just like losing that kind of talent, which will definitely slow things down. Um, but yeah, hopefully 2026 is the most we have to wait for it. If it is like that, then I just say like really pause what your rollout is going to be of all the trailers and gameplay reveals. Because if you start to put out too many of those and like linger too long, then it can get a little frustrating. So I hope that they kind of recalibrate their sort of marketing plans around the more realistic launch date.
Yeah, yeah. And we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I mean, again, we've talked about before having announcements and target dates that are kind of further out. I think for me, like a 9 to 12 month lead is good. Like, I think that's a good amount of time to start drumming up maybe some of the marketing, getting some of the gameplay, like that sort of thing. But honestly, anything beyond like a year, and you just start to get antsy, right? Like, so we had a few of those titles in the last couple of months where it's like, this game's coming out in 2027, or we're targeting 2029 or whatever. It's just like, we don't need to know like this far out, right? I think there's like a proof of life concept, right, where you can say, all right, we're still working on this title, fans, we haven't abandoned this franchise, don't worry, there's a new one coming. And that's all you need to say, right? That's all you need to say. You don't need to say we have a new one coming and we're targeting 2028. No, don't say that, right? Just say we're working on it, and the next time that you hear from us will be when we have a release date, and then it's soon. So but with a property as big as GTA, I don't know. Maybe Rockstar just felt like, you know, they had to get in front of it or something. But anyways, I also hope that it can still land its 2025 release. I think it would be a good swan song for the current gen if they're able to do that. And then going into 2026, then we could say, okay, cool. Here's the let's see what the PS6 is doing. It could be, the technical demo could be run on it and that sort of thing. Um, and Yeah, but other than that, I think um, where I'm optimistic that they'll be able to meet their current deadline. Because if it gets pushed out much further, I don't know. I know GTA fans are already antsy, and it's going to make them even more antsy. So, uh, all right. An Xbox handheld. Phil Spencer keeps talking about it. This is from Chris Plant at Polygon. Phil Spencer, quote, Phil Spencer has tried all of the new PC gaming handhelds, the Asus ROG Ally, the Lenovo Legion Go, and the Steam Deck. He's impressed, but he can't shake one question. How would he make them more Xbox? He said, I want my Lenovo Legion Go to feel like an Xbox, Spencer told Polygon in an interview during the annual Game Developers Conference. I brought the Legion Go with me to GDC. I'm on the airplane and I have this list of everything that makes it not feel like an Xbox. Forget about the brand. More like, are all of my games there? Do all my games show up with the save files that I want? I'll tell you one game that doesn't right now. It's driving me crazy. It's Fallout 76. It doesn't have cross save. I want to be able to boot into the Xbox app in a full screen, but in a compact mode. And all of my social experiences there. Like I want it to feel like the dash of my Xbox when I turn on the television, except I want it on these devices. Continuing on, the article says, according to Spencer, the Xbox hardware team, led by Roanne Sones, is considering different hardware form factors and things they could go do as it plans the future of Xbox hardware. What should we build that will find new players, Spencer said, that will allow people to play at times when they couldn't go play in the past? And then, the article continues to talk about the interview. There's strong feelings about what a handheld Xbox device should feel like, and that sort of thing. So I, we've talked about the sort of advent of a mobile, PC gaming systems. I have my Steam Deck, which I am, you know, I'm thrilled with. I've been really enjoying. Um, but we've discussed, an Xbox form factor like that potentially could do well. So what do you think, Alan? Do you think like an Xbox centric handheld would be good for the market or bad for the market?
I think it would be awesome for the market because right now, basically, like the ROG Ally, the Legion Go, and I think those are the only two like big ones. Or no, that I think they're called a Neo Win or something like that. But basically, like it's a handheld PC, both good and bad. Like it's running, whole Windows, not something custom tailored for it. Unlike the Steam Deck, so like the even though a lot of these other handhelds have more power than the Steam Deck just ends up being a nicer experience. And to be honest, I would love to see sort of like a porting of the, I guess, like Xbox operating system that they use on the S and X, kind of licensed out to these, or just say here, you just use it for free. We just want you to have Xbox on there, so that way these other handhelds can get to a place where they can deliver an experience that's closer to what you get with the Steam Deck. Although I think it would be interesting because like I said, it is still at the end of the day a PC, just in this handheld form factor. So would the Microsoft part of Microsoft want to cede that space, to Xbox? I don't know. Like different parts of the company have their own goals. So, because at the end of the day, Windows like they has so much extra crap on it that I'm sure slows it down. That just a handheld doesn't need. Like all the printer drivers, all this other extra stuff that the Steam Deck OS isn't really burdened by because it's running, custom, version of Linux basically. So I hope that they can work together with those manufacturers to create something that is tailor made for this space. And uh, alongside with having sort of like an Xbox app, so that way people have like a little more freedom in what they can do with their handhelds. So maybe not something where it's running just a whole Xbox OS and nothing else, but like a custom version of Windows, kind of like what Steam Deck has with its version of Linux.
Right, right. Yeah, I think having a dedicated device like that would be really really good. And having that sort of pared down, streamlined version of the Xbox app, like Phil Spencer was describing, um, to preserve the overall experience, it is sort of like that Steam Deck parallel, right? Where you when you have the Steam Deck in game mode, it's basically like you're running Steam. You have your library, you have your landing page, you have the games that you've downloaded and everything else. But you could switch into that sort of PC mode, and download additional programs. It gives you a bit more flexibility. That's where you can run like your emulators if you want to do emulators and things like that. And so the Xbox having a similar design where it's like, okay, you have your Xbox Game Pass, you have access to all your free games, and it's doing that cross save for you, and you can jump into it and you can play your games on the go while also delivering like an optimized mobile Windows experience. Um, that'd be great. I think that'd be awesome. So, um, yeah, and of course, it also makes me think about Sony potentially exploring a new handheld as well. But see, here's the thing. Here's the interesting thing. Like the mobile PC, space is the Asus ROG, is the Lenovo Legion, is the Steam Deck. Um, but a mobile Sony device, right? We have the PlayStation Portable, or not the PlayStation Portable, sorry, the Portal. We have the Portal, which is just an extension of your PS5 and ideally works on the same network. Um, but a future Sony device, like a mobile Sony device, wouldn't necessarily have that PC element to it, right? Like it would just be for mobile gaming.
Yeah, you'd be
Um,
locked into the Sony ecosystem.
right. And that makes me, that's an interesting element, right? Like thinking about how that would compare to, the other systems that can offer not only the gaming experience, but also that mobile, like PC experience. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the Xbox system might do better focusing on a single thing, right? Like just to be able to say like, hey, you know what? Maybe you don't worry about the Windows side. Maybe you just focus on making it a really good, extension of the Xbox experience and not all the PC stuff on the back end. Um, or if they do incorporate the PC elements and then they use that to stand out from whatever future iteration of a portable PlayStation might be, where they can say like, oh well, yeah, you can play your games on your PlayStation, but can you do X, Y, or Z, which only the PC element of the handheld Xbox can offer. Um, I just don't know if that'll be compelling or not.
Yeah, I think that the having Windows, but then having like the Xbox app is probably the best path forward because you don't take away people's options that they kind of have right now. Like they can run the Xbox app, they can run Steam, they can run Epic Games, but I definitely think that they will have to work to have like a custom version of Windows uh, that's tailor made for these devices because I do believe that they lose quite a bit of performance on just all the other Windows stuff that it's got to do.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll see what how it pans out. Again, I think it would be interesting to see Xbox enter that space. I don't know if it would necessarily be disruptive, and that's another thing too. Like, could the Xbox handheld command enough of the market share to make it worthwhile, or will this end up being like a flash in the pan hardware exercise or experiment, where it's like, okay, they tried to release it, but they couldn't wrest away the base from Steam, from the Legion, from Asus ROG, etc. Um, yeah, and so we'll see, and what they would need to do in order to get that fan base. Could be in the form of that streamlined Xbox experience. So, uh, but time will tell. Next up, the white, speaking of Xbox, the white Xbox Series X with no disk drive has been spotted. This is from The Verge. The Verge's Tom Warren. The article says Microsoft appears to be readying a white version of its Xbox Series X console without a disk drive. Xputer has published a series of leaked images of the white Xbox Series X, showing that it's a diskless system with the same design on the exterior as the existing black Xbox Series X. The white coating appears to be identical to the Xbox Series S robot white that Microsoft uses on the smaller $300 console. Reports that this white Xbox Series X will have some internal components upgraded, including the heatsink used to cool the console. Um, the article continues. Xputer claimed last month that this white Xbox Series X could arrive in June or July, priced at $50 to $100 less than the current $499 retail price of the Xbox Series X. If they're planning to launch this particular diskless version of the Xbox Series X soon, that would suggest the company has canceled or pushed back the refreshed version of the console that leaked in the documents, the FTC versus Microsoft documents last year. I don't like it. Well, okay, I like the design. I don't like the implication, right? We've talked about
Yeah,
this
yeah,
before.
yeah.
I'm not big on the digital only advent, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on this, Alan? What do you think it means for maybe the pricing for the Series X? Do you like the design? What do you think when you saw this article and these leaked images?
It was definitely different from like the documents that we saw from the antitrust trial.
Mhm.
And I'm kind of glad that cylinder shape was like I was not feeling it at all. So it's nice to see it. They kind of kept the same like housing as you get in the current Xbox Series X. I think that it could kind of go one of two ways. One, it could be they adopt the PlayStation sort of format where like, oh, you want the disc one, then you pay more than the non-disc one. And I think it's the what is it, like $100 difference between the PS5 disc and discless. Although
I
I
think
think
it's
they
something like that.
had it
Yeah.
shrunk to 50, right?
Yeah, I think right when they announced the latest versions, I think they noticed that there were some pricing alignments and adjustments, and so the difference isn't quite as much as it used to be. Yeah.
Yeah, so it could be that they though that they do need to get market share. So it could be that they use it kind of like, well, let's just give the 100 instead of just the 50. Or what my sort of like theory is that like this is gonna wholesale replace the current disc version because I'm kind of like roping in sort of like the deal section a little bit early because I kind of need to. But like over the last few days, uh Amazon's Woot kind of division. It's like a basically a site where like they kind of put a lot of stuff on clearance and just liquidate. Like we want to get rid of it. Um, they had Xbox Series X, the current model, refurbished for $149.99.
Wow.
It kind of jumped back up to $249.99, but even at that, that's like 50% off. But here's the kicker: is that the first people who kind of got it, thanks to the man of the people, Wario 64, for giving us
Mm,
the heads up on that.
right. Right.
Um, they reported back to him, "Hey, this came straight from Microsoft. Like this is a Microsoft refurbished item, not like some sketchy third party or even Amazon. This is coming from
Wow.
Microsoft."
That's
So
awesome.
for Microsoft to be setting that kind of pricing, that feels to me like liquidation. Like we want to get rid of all of this because this new model is coming in and will take over, which would really suck for fans of physical media.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's an aggressive price reduction for sure. I mean, even the deals, even if they are refurbished, like that's pretty um, insane. So I'm glad, though. Of course, shout out to Wario 64, and I'm glad the folks that did pick them up realized, hey, you know what, Microsoft is the one sort of backing this and refurbishing them. So that's great. But again, like you said, it just sort of reinforces the fact that it's a it's a company strategy, right? It's not just or at least it appears to be a broader strategy. It's not just like a kind of one-off thing. It's like, no, I think we're going to move this direction. Um,
So what do
and
you think of my theory that I got going?
I mean, I think it's a good theory. I think that makes sense. And I mean, again, as much as I don't like the uh, the advent of digital, I think that it makes sense that they would make that transition because we've talked about it before. Like it's a kind of a hard sell not for the S, because the S is a good like discount or like bargain priced console if you have Game Pass, right? But the X is a little bit more of a harder sell because of the price of the hardware currently. Um, and if you've got a gaming PC, it's sort of redundant, right? So I think if they're able to price the X a bit more competitively, then they'll be able to make more money, more on the margin, maybe for the hardware, get more people into the Series X, um, and into the Game Pass, which I think is the main moneymaker there. Like, okay, this is how you're going to continue to get games for the console. So I think your theory makes a lot of sense. Um, so we'll see how that works out. And that was our deals corner as well. So yeah, keep an eye out for that via Woot. If they have any additional Xbox Series X refurbished for sale.
Yeah, because like they sold out real quick. Because like
Oh
again,
yeah,
that's killer pricing. So, but definitely check Woot and just kind of on and off because they will kind of just flash back into stock and out of stock.
yeah, for sure. Um, all right, Take Two buys Gearbox from Embracer. So this is from IGN's Rebecca Valentine. Embracer Group has officially divested Gearbox Entertainment, selling the division to Take Two Interactive for $460 million hairs. In a press release, Embracer shared that it is divesting Gearbox Software, Gearbox Montreal, Gearbox Studio Quebec, and the franchises Borderlands, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, Homeworld, Risk of Rain, Brothers in Arms, and Duke Nukem. Embracer will retain rights to Gearbox Publishing San Francisco, formerly Perfect World Entertainment, which it has plans to rename, the publishing rights to Remnant, Hyper Light Breaker, and other unannounced games, Cryptic Studios, Lost Boys Interactive, and Captured Dimensions. All of its retained assets will be integrated into other parts of Embracer Group. The sale is expected to close by the end of June. Gearbox will join Take-Two's 2K division and will continue to be led by CEO and founder Randy Pitchford. Currently, Gearbox has both a new Borderlands and a new Homeworld game in development, as well as at least one exciting new intellectual property. Notably, the full purchase price of $460 million will be paid to Embracer Group in Take-Two shares rather than cash. For comparison, Embracer originally purchased Gearbox for $363 million, half in cash and half in newly issued Embracer Group shares, with an additional consideration of 1.015 billion, partially in shares to be paid out if they hit certain targets within 6 years. The article goes on, but long and short of it is basically Take Two has sort of scooped up Gearbox and these notable properties from the uh, the whirlpool of oblivion that is the Embracer Group, which was welcome news for a lot of folks of these IPs such as Borderlands and Duke Nukem, etc. But I don't know, what are your thoughts, Alan, on this move? Are you sad that some of the other studios like Lost Boys and some of these properties like Hyper Light Breaker are still in the clutches of Embracer?
Yeah, like I'm sure the people working at Gearbox are a lot happier to be at Take Two. Is really a publisher that has experience isn't going to be as shaky as Embracer, and Embracer could if you're a studio there, they could just shut you down the next day. They kind of just feel like it if they need to make some kind of quarterly number or whatever. So I'm happy to see that Gearbox found a good spot for themselves. I think they've been working with Take Two for like 10 or 20 years, something like that. Um,
Yeah,
as for the remaining studios, I wish them good luck. They're gonna need it with Embracer. So we'll see how that pans out for them. Hopefully, they're able to be okay.
yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm feeling good about it. I'm glad that they're you know working with these with Gearbox, working with these properties. It's funny reading through the ones that Embracer still has. I am bummed about Hyper Light Breaker because I'm a big fan of Hyper Light Drifter. It's probably one of my favorite games of all time. And this is the I don't believe it's necessarily a sequel, but kind of like a continuation of the franchise. Even though it has a different style, et cetera, I'm still a big fan of Alex Preston and the work that he's doing. Um, and so with Heart Machine and everything. And so I'm kind of bummed that Embracer still has this property because I'm afraid of what that means. So all the best to those who are still working with Embracer, but very glad to see some of these other titles like Borderlands and Duke Nukem and Tiny Tina's, etc., to be in Take Two's care, in its custody, if you will. Final story. The Tekken 8 director wants to know about Waffle House. This is from IGN's Taylor Lyles. In response to a wave of fans lobbying for a Waffle House themed stage in Tekken 8, the game's director, Katsuhiro Harada, finally broke the silence and addressed the high demand for this unique stage. Over the weekend, Harada responded to a request one fan made in his replies about adding a stage based on Waffle House to the latest installment in Bandai Namco's fighting game series. In a rare instance, he responded and asked why so many people keep asking him to add this seemingly unrelated breakfast restaurant to the game. The tweet says, "Okay, I will only ask once about this request. Why do some communities send me requests for a Waffle House? Please be sure to explain the basis for the request, including the original story, history, and background. I look forward to an explanation from someone who knows more." Many fans flocked to the replies to explain why they would love to see a Waffle House stage in Tekken 8. For those unfamiliar with Waffle House, it's a chain of southern diners with nearly 2,000 locations in over 20 states, most of which are located in the South and Midwest. In the 70 years of operation, it's become a cultural icon for a few reasons, two most notable being it's an open all-night eating spot, even during emergencies, and because it has become a centerpiece of a lot of memes, most of them surrounding the fact that people have posted photos and videos of fights breaking out at various locations. There was even a skit that Saturday Night Live did. So, anyways, the tweet thread is hilarious, and it all sort of ended with him saying, "Okay, well, thanks for the explanation, and I understand that many people are requesting it. However, the restaurant has both the trademark and the rights to the restaurant. So if their headquarters refuses to accept my proposal, it will not happen." So now people are saying, "Come on, Waffle House, like give him the go ahead. Let's have a Waffle House stage." So,
I could not stop laughing when I saw this on Sunday morning. I just had the biggest smile on my face going through that whole
it
tweet
looked like
thread.
an April Fool's joke. Like it looked
I
like an
know, but
early
it
April
is
Fool's
not
joke.
April 1st. The good thing has happened on March 31st, not on April 1st.
Yeah, it was a good timing because otherwise, yeah, it totally would have. I think it
I
would have been
do wonder
lost.
though, would Waffle House be like, yeah, let's do that? Like, because it's gotten a bit weird now with corporations in the US where like brands will try really hard to be cool, but like Waffle House has never really tried that or done that. I don't follow their social media to see, if they do or don't post, or do they even have social media? Um so I wonder, I think it'd be hilarious, but he's definitely right. You can't just grab whatever brand you want and toss them into your fighting game. But I think it would be amazing. I think it would be one of the moments of like 2024 after like DLC new stage Waffle House.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. It is an interesting spot to be in, right? Because on the one hand, the brand um uh, trend or the brand trends right now would very much lean into like or could lean into, yeah, like we have a lot of fights going on, so why wouldn't we put it into a fighting game? But on the other hand, you also don't want to like piss off people who are like, "Oh, so Waffle House is violent? Like I shouldn't bring my kids here for breakfast?" Because
Exactly, yeah.
you know,
So
like it's a tricky spot to be in. I mean, could they do a sort of tongue in cheek thing? I don't know. Like, would it be a DLC? Like, would they charge like $2.99, for the Waffle House stage, and then maybe donate that money to, anger management charities or something? Like, I don't
no,
know. There,
yeah, yeah, because like Waffle House, I'm sure the first thing that'll be concerning is like, crap. Well, now they're gonna want to fight here more
exactly.
than they
Yeah.
already do. So
There'd be like TikTok trends of people like squaring up in front of the Waffle House and like the Tekken 8 like fight, thing going in front. Like, I don't know.
oh god,
Um,
have a Tekken 8, one of the Tekken 8 like fight tournaments at a
yeah.
Waffle House.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of possibility there, but We'll see if Waffle House leans into it. I could see why they wouldn't. You know, it's. Do you want to admit that that's what your restaurant is known for, or do you just
I
want to
mean, you
kind of
don't have to
keep it
admit
low?
it. There's videos online, but like I think the what they would be more concerned about is like encouraging more of that behavior. Because
Right.
I don't think they necessarily want people squaring up at 3 a.m. At the Waffle House.
Very true. Very true. Well, all right. That was our last story. Anything else on your end, Alan? I think we talked about the deal already for the Xbox Series X.
Yeah, yeah. Just just quickly, just a reminder. Keep an eye out. If I'm right, which I hope I'm not, it could be kind of your last chance to get one of these, especially at that price.
Mm-hmm.
So, because I think if they were to like let it be known, hey, yeah, we're phasing these out, like people are gonna
There'll
try
be a
and get
rush. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
There'll be a
rush to
rush
be
for
like,
it.
oh, these are the last like disc based Xboxes. Again, hopefully it's not. Hopefully it is more of a PS5 beginning where it was like, yeah, you'll pay the $100 premium for the disc, but if you want the digital one, you get $100 discount. Hopefully it's that.
All right. Sounds sounds good. All right. Well, until next time, I'm Jeremy.
I'm Alan.
Keep gaming, everybody.
See ya.